on Twitter. I was like, guys, I want to do another retro review. Give me some suggestions. I chose to watch Mercury Rising, a film by Harold Becker, who gave us things like Taps and City Hall and Domestic Disturbance, 2 of which are panned by the critics, and 1 which is just above average. Mercury Rising, starring Bruce Willis and Alec Baldwin. And also Miko Hughes, the kid from Kindergarten Cop, who was like, boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. So Mercury Rising, what is it about? It is about Bruce Willis's character Art, who's an FBI agent who has to protect this young boy named Simon from the government, because they learn that Simon is able to read this encrypted code that is apparently supposed to be unbreakable. They're panicking, thinking, oh crap, how can this kid do that? So, the people behind it are like, oh, what are we gonna do, what are we gonna do? And that kind of puts the kid's life in danger. There's some collateral damage to the fact that his parents are killed as well. It's supposed to be a government conspiracy-ish thriller, I would say. But how does it hold up? So there are some bits that I did actually like. There are a few cool scenes in the film. I particularly like the elevator scene. There's a scene in there where Bruce and Miko, their characters, are in an elevator in a hospital, and there's a doctor and a gurney and a nurse, and there's a patient on the gurney, and then the person who is after Miko's character comes into the elevator from the other side, so it's one of those double elevators, and while they're in there, the kid, Simon, is looking up at the numbers as they're counting down, and he basically is kind of counting down for the action to kind of begin, and pretty much gets you into the second act of the film, where it's all a bit crazy and hectic. But I like that scene. I thought it had a nice bit of tension to it, so I was like, yeah, I'm okay with this scene. This is all right. I thought the pacing of the film was decent. I didn't feel like that was anything that kind of hurt the film. It moved, it was a 2-hour film, but it moved rather quickly. I didn't really feel myself getting bored. The overall story is kept really simple. It's not trying to be more clever than what it is. It's really, really basic. And then there's obviously the female character who comes in kind of almost towards the middle of the second half, I think. Part of me expected them to kind of shoe in a love story between her and Bruce, and I was really glad to see that they didn't actually pursue a love story with those two, because I liked, again, that the female character was not really used as a love interest for the main protagonist either. That was what I liked about the film. Now, that being said, there are things in this film that just don't make a heck of a lot of sense. Dean and Leo have submitted they submitted the Mercury code to the puzzle book, and it's published and out there for the world to buy. And their reasoning for putting the book out there after the code had been tested and tested and tested and tested, computers couldn't crack it, other people couldn't crack it, they thought, oh, one more test, the geek factor. They're like, what if there's some super nerd out there who can read our code? If they do crack it, they can call a number and then we can know who they are. So that's kind of their main scheme. Alec Baldwin's character, Nick, who's their boss, he's quite furious because he's like, well, why didn't you tell me about this? Why didn't you what are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what kind of gets the ball rolling in terms of, people finding out about Simon. It kind of felt like, look, if you are still trialing this Mercury thing, you probably should have told people that you were going to publish it to the world. It felt like a really stupid risk. These two chaps need to be fired or something, maybe arrested for releasing potential breach of government secrets. I also felt like when they were telling Alec Baldwin's character about the puzzle that they've released, my immediate thought was just recall the books. But Alec Baldwin's like, leave the line open so that people can, so that if more people call, they can track them and all this kind of stuff. And I was just kind of like, that seems like another really stupid move to, you're kind of taking what these two dummies have done and you're allowing it to continue. As they were listening to the call with Simon, they learn eventually that he has autism, and they kind of have this light bulb moment, like, oh, that explains why he can read it. I got what they were going for and why, Simon was kind of crucial to being able to read it. But at the same time, Simon wasn't the only person who could potentially read it. I mean, anyone who has autism apparently could you know, potentially read this code. It felt really sloppy. They didn't kind of handle it well from the very beginning. At the beginning of the film, Bruce is deeply embedded in this kind of terrorist group. They're holding up a bank, and they're trying to do negotiation. From inside, Bruce is trying to convince people to, God, let's just walk out. Let's just walk out. How do you get any worse than this? How do you get no worse than this? Bruce is quite close to convincing some people to leave, but then the FBI storm in and shoot everyone, and Bruce kind of loses his shit. He comes out and to his kind of superior officer, and he's like, why did you give the call? Why did you do that? Ah! And he pulls a gun on him and punches him and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, Bruce, dude, you're gonna lose your job in a sec. The next scene is followed up with Bruce and his best friend speaking with kind of the director of the FBI or whatever. Bruce is like, with his gun, so, am I fired? And the FBI director, he's like, no, you're not fired. You're not fired. We obviously can't let you go out on that kind of field duty anymore, but you can go on a wire. And Bruce is like, oh, you just want me to quit. But I tell you what, I'm not gonna make it easy. I'm gonna go do the wire work. And they're like, okay, but that's what we wanted you to do anyway. And I just thought that was really stupid. But the fact that you stormed out, assaulted, and pulled a gun on your superior officer probably isn't a good thing. And I think would, you know, maybe see someone fired. Story-wise, it isn't making sense to me in terms of what people are able to get away with and not kind of suffer any sort of like consequences. So things like that pulled me out of the film. Another bit, Bruce and Miko steal an ambulance, and they're going on the highway and trying to get away, and obviously the assassin who's after Simon is close and tail. Literally shove the vehicle off the, into the side of the barrier, and then they just drive on. It's like you don't even know if you shot Bruce. You don't know if the kid's still alive, and then you just drove on. Like, that just makes no sense. It's all fun and games. No police are called. There's no incident or report or anything like that. It's just that they just get on the train. They're just sitting there, and then at some train stop further up ahead, I don't even know how far up ahead, and one of the mysterious henchmen get on the train and they start looking for Bruce, and they just happen to be on the same train as him. And I'm like, how do you guys even know that Bruce and the kid are on the train? It was just like, oh my gosh, like the logic and stuff like that of this film just was just non-existent. Like, it just didn't, some of this stuff just didn't add up at all. And I'm sitting there thinking, huh? Character's all a bit silly. Miko did he's fine, I guess, being the kid. They don't really explore his ability to read the code very well. They only use the code for him to call the government or read a message about a potential rendezvous point. The code and the puzzle book are just literally just this MacGuffin that's just there and causing all the stirring, but we don't really get to explore it, and it doesn't really pay off in the end. Alec Baldwin's character, I don't think it's set up well enough as to why he is the bad guy. He suddenly decides to have the boy's parents murdered and then kill the kid because that's going to solve the problem. But what about the thousands and thousands of other autistic people in the world who could potentially read it? Are you gonna go kill all of them as well? And I'd say the finale was pretty dang funny. So the FBI are trying to race up to the top of this building where Alec Baldwin has the kid, and he's gonna try and take the kid away on a helicopter. Alec Baldwin's kind of assassin guy who's on the roof. When all the FBI agents come in trying to charge and get at Alec Baldwin's character, this one dude takes out half the agents. He just sit there, like with one gun, just taking them all out. And I'm like, well, these agents look like they should be they're wearing their armor. So are you piercing their armor? These armor piercing bullets or something? So I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. It was just over the top action for action's sake. Alec Baldwin has Bruce pinned to the ground. The character Simon sees a gun, picks up a gun, and he slowly as shit walks back over to Bruce. Bruce turns and sees Simon coming with the gun, and he's like, "Urgh," and reaches out his hand, and then Simon just hands him the gun slowly, "Urgh," and then Bruce is like, "Oh, I got a gun," and then uses that to get the upper hand on on Alec's character. And I'm like, were you blind? See, the kid was right next to you with the gun. You could have just, you had the upper hand. You could have just pushed the kid, which probably would have pushed him over the edge of the building anyway and killed him, which is what you wanted. And then you still probably could have killed Bruce. What is this? Bruce is like, it's over with, Bruce doesn't even protect the kid anymore. The kid is standing right next to Alec Baldwin, and Alec's like, oh, I'm gonna grab the kid. And Bruce just shoots him. Like, he's holding the kid, and Bruce fires the gun. You could have shot the kid. Alec is like, oh my gosh. And then he topples over, and like, literally falls like a feather down this like 30-story building. I mean, there's a scene where it's tracking him falling. That was just one of the many just really, really poor CGI scenes. Completely and utterly ridiculous. Would I recommend this film? Did stupidly enjoy the thing. I really, really did. Realistically, all this film is a 2-hour public service announcement for how to deal with kids with autism. Simple as that. It's stupid fun, so I do kind of recommend it at the same time. So comment below, let me know what you think. If you've seen Mercury Rising, is it, you know, is it up to par? Is it not? What do you think? Let me know below. And also, if you want me to do any other retro reviews, comment with some suggestions below as well, and I will look into those and go from there. Cool. See ya.